Welcome back to Living Luna and our ridiculous dances, where we are just ourselves all day, every day.
Yep.
We are so glad you've joined us here for another episode because we have like one of our favorite people on today. And how in the world, like, if that doesn't show her natural number, I don't know what does actually, because like we met this person super recently and like have just become, I feel like, best of friends. So Tamara is a professional intuitive consultant and astrologer, which is a pretty freaking cool job, if I do say so myself.
Mm-hmm.
And she, oh my gosh, she has the most delicious energy downloads every week. I see her posts and I'm like, here it is. This is my post for the week that I'm going to read to know what in the world is happening in the sky. So we are so honored she has decided to come on with us, and we will welcome her aboard now. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for that intro. It's so nice to be introduced.
Yes. Well, we adore you. I mean, like I said, you've only been in our lives for a brief period of time so far, but the depth with which you can connect with people so quickly just like profoundly allowed us to open up to you and be in relationship with you and like connect authentically with you.
Well, that is so nice. And that reminds me something of the natural numbers.
Yeah. Us talking about natural, we would never talk about natural numbers.
No.
So yes, you're welcome to tell people what you are still, digesting maybe your natural number if you would like, and we can comment on that a little.
Well, I just learned I was identified as a number 2, a natural number 2. I still don't have full awareness of what that really means, but I was recently triggered in a way that only a 2 would be, so I assumed that it's probably pretty true.
Yeah, and that is, that whole being triggered in only a way, a certain energy. And I know that the idea of being a number can come with some resistance because it's like, what kind of label is that? Like, I want a cool name. Like the Starchatype system, I'm a creatrix and they're a way shower, and like that's a cool name, right? But like a number, it's like, eh. So it's the essence of these superpowers. And natural number 2 is one that I have extreme closeness with. My other partner is a 2. Some of my very best friends have been 2s. 2s and 9s are so similar in a way that none of the other numbers are with how we relate to other people, because the 2 is the mirror and the 9 is the chameleon. And so there is this intense relationship there that I was like, when I found out you were a 2, I'm like, it makes sense.
Well, you got to watch the demo, so I had the feeling you were giggling along with the demo.
Very much so. Very much so. And I just have to say, like, my favorite thing about natural number 2 is the cheeks. Yep. Look at those cheeks. So cute. Anyway, so we could spend an hour talking about how cute Tamara is, because she is. But yes, like the understanding the way that each natural number gets triggered specifically has been tremendously healing for us, because for me it's being forgotten or invisible or feeling misunderstood, and you'll watch me power down. And everybody has that, but for me that's like crippling. For them it's the shame. When they are shame spiraling, like they go all the way to the bottom with it. And again, everyone can, but like it's that specific, like how bad it can get, how much it can drain you.
It's so interesting too, because it's like there's like ones can be considered critical, and it's like it's interesting because it's ones want the other people in their lives to like they might be more blunt or like just explaining an observation, but they're not trying to come off as like shameful, or they're not trying to come off as critical. But it's interesting because literally everybody else, whenever they're receiving whenever one is receiving information, they consider it to be through a critical lens. So it's like, I'm not trying to be critical if I'm saying something matter of factly to somebody or joking or whatever. Like it could come off as critical, but that's usually not my, intention. But then even if no one else has the intention of being critical towards me, then I will receive that as critical and then shame myself and go into a shame spiral. So it's like a very interesting, like, uh, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So once you have the lingo, like, you having just recently, as my natural number 2 partner says, been diagnosed as a 2, um, and that's his sense of humor. 2s have a very funny sense of humor. It takes a while for your natural number to really land. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to be identified in our community soon. And so I feel like that's a really important thing to just point out is like, this information can take like a month to like even begin to land. So the fact that you're already like, yeah, that disappointment piece, that's really real. And like you'll start to see that how it flavors your day-to-day interactions more. And then it just sort of all starts to make sense. It's very, very interesting. And in the making sense is this freedom. So what's it been like for you so far?
Well, I love, first of all, the language of that 9 is a chameleon and 2 is a mirror. Like, I need to unpack that a little because I almost feel, I mean, something you may or may not know about me is that I wrote a one-woman show last year, and I like to perform, and I like to be, especially in like improv situations, even where we're volleying back and forth, because I like to kind of go back and forth with this. I'm very quick, like with dialogue. I can download dialogue very quickly, and so I'm seeing like that mirror thing, that thing where you're kind of doing. It's kind of a dance to me. So maybe it's not a chameleon, but it's something like that.
It's
Yeah.
so funny because we met in person in Sedona and I had wanted to test you, but I didn't feel confident testing people. The test for 2 is actually a dance because a 2 is so good at lining up with the other person and mirroring their movements in the dance. And they're the only, they're the only ones that can do that because they're the only ones that do that naturally without training.
Okay.
I should say. Because anybody could train to do it, but a 2 can do it on the spot. That's why the 2 slide, that interesting slide through the middle, is exclusive to 2s, that they can do it with ease naturally because of that pivot point under the chest, right? That low rib point. And so you dance with a 2 to see if they're a 2, because if you dance with them and you say to them, if I move forward, you move back. If I move back, you move forward. If I go left, you go right. And they're like, okay. And then they're just doing the dance with you, and everyone else is like tripping over themselves, and like it's just a mess. So I keep scooting too close to the camera and it doesn't want to focus on me. That's the only downside of our video podcast. So yes, anyway, we could soapbox about this for ages, Tamara, and I want to talk more about you. So
Okay.
how did you come into astrology as like your work? Because that is so interesting to me.
I have been absorbing astrology since I was a teenager. I just remember Linda Goodman's Sun Signs book was an original way back when. And I actually studied numerology was sort of my first one. And then I kind of shifted into astrology because it's not a straight line, it's a sphere. And we are a sphere, not a straight line. And we are multi-layered, multi-dimensional. And astrology is a mathematical thing. So it's all about angles and relationships. Ooh, I just heard that within the chart. So you have relationships between your moon sign, your inner nature, your natural connection to what makes you comfortable, your sun sign, which is your ego, your identity, your rising sign, which is what other people see. It's like the sun rising above the horizon line. And then, and you have, everyone has crunchy parts to themselves, like, ah, that doesn't really work for me inside myself, and relationships of ease. And some charts have lots of ease, almost to the point of laziness, and other people have substantial mountains to climb. And so I think for me, I had a not very easy upbringing whatsoever, and it taught me, the pain of it brought me into, like, why am I here? What is life about? I had so much existential interest, and I wanted to understand the workings of the universe and how I belong to it. And I describe it like we're each a cell in the body of the divine. We're just a cell, and we're each doing our little thing inside this great big organism. And so I think I just was led through the need to develop and grow. Like, that's really what got me going. Just my curiosity about what makes me me, what makes you you. How are people different, and what are their, like, why are some people so talented in some directions and other people in other directions? And how are people manifesting that potential is a big part of the astrology, is watching how they play the chart out. I could talk about this for a long time.
I mean,
But
I'm learning a lot.
I'm here for it.
oh,
Honestly.
good.
I'm learning a lot.
Well, no two charts are going to be exactly the same, really. And it's a very sacred design of you. It's like a sacred piece of jewelry that you are born with in your hands. It's like you're born with this thing that you get to build into a sculpture throughout the lifetime. And not only that, your chart that you come in with, you actually progress beyond those potentials into a whole new you as we move through life. And that's the progressions. So there's just so much to unpack about our human potential through this. It's a light language of sorts. Light is information. Astrology is information. And once you know exactly how to, you have to know how to open it. Because I remember years ago going for my first astrology reading and being told, oh, you have Jupiter in the 7th house, you're going to be lucky in relationships. That was very rudimentary. There's a lot more to my life than that. And that was not linearly correct. But when you pop it out as a 3-dimensional sculpture and you see, like, what I need to change in myself for that to be true, then I have a lot of power over my own aspects within myself.
I love that because, I see any archetype system or mapping system, human design, body of 9, astrology, as information for us to unpack to get to know ourselves. And we can use it or not. So I love this. I just recently, it was literally last year, finally found out my birth time. Because the state that I was born in, they don't write it on your birth certificate. Yeah. So I had to mail in a request, please put my birth time on my certificate. So they mailed me a new one. So I was finally able to find my rising sign. I've never heard rising sign described the way that you just did, but I'm a Sagittarius rising.
Yep.
And that is so my live personality. So that makes sense.
Fiery.
Yeah.
And big and shiny and sparkly and like, woo. But then me personally, so intellectually, my sun sign, I'm a Gemini, and then my moon, I'm a Cancer. So, me at home, I'm like, I just want to be cozy.
Yeah, you want comfort and coziness. And also, your moon is opposite your sun. And so you contain almost like there's a polarity there. So people are going to first see about you a great big aura, because Jupiter rules your ascendant, Sagittarius. So your life is going to be about the horizon line. How big can it get? The next big thing, the next big project. And Sagittarius is very interested in higher learning, higher esoteric information, and Gemini wants to apply that information. So you are primed with these two aspects, and you have many other aspects in your chart, but right now you're going to be the person who's, you know, because Gemini is the reporter and the scribe. This is the person on the ground in the town, going in the town square. Hello, everybody. I've got the news. But and Jupiter is there, like, is in the universal sphere, saying, I want the download that is the most sacred, I want the high information for humanity. And Gemini's like, hey guys, gather around in the living room, you know, I'm going to read you the news. So you have both of those aspects in one person.
Kat is having a meltdown because they're like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, like I know that you've met and talked to Safi, but it's just wild to like hear how much, you know, your astrology knowledge and application of it is just literally describing all the inner workings of Safriana right now. And I'm just like, whoa.
You're not ready to be called out.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm
when you hear what they are, you'll be like, oh.
What should I start with?
Do we have some Pisces in us?
2, Sun and Moon.
Oh goodness. Oh, that's a lot of mutable energy. That's a lot of fish going in various directions. I'm not sure which way I'm going to go, but it's also the whale and the infinite possibility of total creation and oneness.
Mm-hmm.
What's your ascendant?
My ascendant is Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Well, and that's a very a good gatekeeper for all that Piscean energy, because Piscean energy is very sensitive and boundaryless and just can feel into everything, anywhere, with anyone. But Capricorn's like, you know, this is the gate, like the gate squeaks, like, who's there? I don't know, you can come in. You know, it's like you know, it's like you have the big rusty key, and you're like, okay, let me give you a test and see. You know,
let me give you a test and see.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the you know, Capricorn has that ability. You know, it's the mountain goat. It's a very astute, no bullshit. It has its own ambitions, and it's gonna get there. You know, it's like it's going to climb and it's going to get there, and it has high ambitions. But, you know, there's all this creativity with all this Pisces. It has a wellspring of magical creative energy guided by the goat up the mountain.
Well, I was called the goat in elementary school because my maiden name is DeGroat, and you know, elementary school kids are in fact viciously bullies half the time. Yeah. So I was the goat. So yeah.
And then goat means greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time. If only I'd known back then.
I love it. That's perfect for a Capricorn, greatest of all time, because that's what Capricorn needs to be. Number one. Yep.
And then the natural number 1 kicks in with the body primed for shame spiraling when they're not number 1.
Well, because Capricorn rising, you know, Capricorn's aware of how it appears within all social forms and structures and hierarchies, and it's a very self-conscious of am I perceived. It's a very dignified, you know, and it doesn't want to not look, you know, be dignified. And so it always will be, because Capricorn is dignified. It's very good at moving within social structures, very polite, very, you know, not, I don't want to say golf, well, you know what I'm saying. Like it's a very golf club, you know, very country club. You know what I'm saying? It knows how to get along with the country club set.
I was raised in that. I had, we were a part of a country club for a couple of years, and so I'm sure you knew how to dress and how to say, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Hanson, how are you today? I mean, because, Capricorn is very polite. It knows how to get around through the echelons, right? Mm-hmm. But inside, you know, Pisces sun and moon would hang out with anybody, anywhere, anytime. Like Pisces is just like, I love everybody, and I'll just, you know, it has a lot less boundaries. Let me put it that way. You say that again.
I'm always like, Ike, did I just hear you say such and such to someone you were playing video games with in a random match online?
Exactly.
Don't.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to hear my life story?
I'm like, no, sweetheart. Don't tell the strangers on the internet your life story.
You've got to
But they
talk
do
to her.
right.
Yeah, you've got to talk to their Capricorn rising, because it's just not going to work with the Pisces. The Pisces has no gatekeepers.
There you go. Is that what I did today when I like looked deep in your eyes and I was like, this is a message from the universe. Hello. Is that me talking to the gatekeeper a little bit more?
Yeah.
It could be.
Feel like this is the message for the goat.
This is the goat message from the goat to the goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So tell us about your 3 big ones, and what does that mean about you?
Well, I have a Pisces moon. So I share that Piscean moon, and I have actually quite a little stellium in Pisces. And then my sun is Aquarius, and then I have a Sagittarius rising.
Wow.
That is so interesting.
You are your moon is my, well, sun and moon. Your sun is the natural number 2 Justin's sun. Oh. And your rising is both Safriana's rising and my partner Kristen's sun.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm seeing some patterns here in relationship. Mm-hmm.
My best friends tend to be Aquarians. I don't know if that's true of like Gemini and Aquarian suns, but
well, they have by sign they are a trine. That means they have a natural. They're both air signs, and Aquarius is a little far out, little like just across the galaxy, and Gemini's like right in town. Like let me translate all your crazy stuff and put it into words that can be commonly understood. Gemini's the magazine that translates the ancient script that Aquarius is into in hieroglyphics, right? So,
yes.
Aquarius won't even bother to translate into English, and the Gemini's like, hold on one second, just send it down, and I'll just type that out in English.
So our life.
That's so funny.
I literally they'll come to me. I don't know if you know Julie Wilson. We're gonna be doing a soul connection call really soon, but she and I worked on a book project with Jess together. We should definitely mention that this episode for sure. But she does these cosmic 5D energy updates that are like talking about the fractals and the different dimensions and like my Aquarius, and I kind of come and be like, what did that post mean? And then I'm like, oh, this. And then I like put it in plain English words that everyone can digest and like understand what it means here and what it means there. So yeah, I've never known that was a Gemini thing.
Well, so I have a North Node in Gemini, and the nodes are mathematical points. They're not planets that show each soul what it came here to actually do. And so when I look and study at look in the chart, look at the nodes, I can tell why you were born and also what you bring with you through the South Node. Now, my South Node is Sagittarius, which is all this esoteric information and wisdom that is not very common in our young soul culture. And my North Node is Gemini. So my job is to write my weekly energy updates on a regular basis, like you would the news, and in common enough language that anybody can read it and understand it. Does that make sense of how we have to translate?
Yes.
And activate, and not more than activate, we have to manifest or achieve what our soul came here for, which is, I'm glad you've been in monasteries, Tamara, 7 lifetimes, but now could you just translate those ancient texts into usable language that people can, bite-sized chunks, so people can use them in their daily life now?
Yeah. And I mean, like I said in the introduction, I go to your posts to look for what's happening, because I could understand it and be the person translating, but like that's not my mission, that's not my purpose. Yeah. And I love how digestible and easy to understand what you put out there is, because it's concise, it's to the point, it's very pertinent to what's happening right now. Like, I mean, I don't think I've ever been so excited to sign up for somebody's newsletter. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll put that in my inbox every week so I don't miss it. Like, duh. It was a no-brainer for me. So that's a really like interesting and cool mission to be focused on right now. I'm wanting to say my North Node is Leo, and I'm wanting to say that it is the only Leo anywhere in my chart.
Wow. Yeah,
Well,
that makes your South Node Aquarius, and
Yes, I'm pretty sure
that's a powerful mission you have there.
it's either that or it's flipped of that. Because that's
Oh,
how it is, right? They're always opposite.
yeah, well, we'll have to, I won't say anything about it until you find out exactly what it is. But I think because yes, it would be opposite if you the North Node were Aquarius. So we should
Well,
find
on that
out.
note, that's a special thing you do with people,
Yeah,
right? You have
yeah.
a program for helping them navigate that. So could you say a little bit about that?
Well, actually, so I have containers where you know, of various lengths that I work with people, and it just depends on what their goals are, what they want to achieve. You know, I can help people with business launching that comes from understanding their chart and then looking at the astrological cycles and figuring out when is the time to be most visible, what is most in alignment with what you're trying to achieve, and will showcase you the best. And so I can work at different lengths of time depending on what somebody wants. And right now for our book launch, which I know we're going to talk about, I have a special, just a one-off, it's an introductory reading on your North Node, your mission, your destiny, your North Star, the thing that we want to activate awareness in your chart so that you can begin to achieve more of your destiny. So if people are in transition or they're like, I think it's this, but I'm not really sure, I can just quickly wire you up a little design of who you are and exactly what to focus on right now that will really, it really lights you up. Let me say one thing. Our destiny node feels a little scary. We feel a little about getting into that energy. And we sometimes are like, I don't really want to do it. I feel shy, but it's the thing we're here to do. And it's going to pull us because the North Node is like there are a lot of different ways to describe it. One is as um, the ancient way is it's a dragon that is very, very hungry and it wants to I'm hungry, I want to eat this. So it will pull us no matter what, and we will feel bored, listless. I've already done that, I don't want to do it, I have no mission, if we're too much in the South Node. So we've got to go for the scary thing, and we got to take the leap.
Okay. So I think I am. Are you?
I looked at mine.
You looked up yours. You're like, I have to know.
I have to know now.
I'm pretty sure the way I remember it, and this is funny. My natural number 2 partner is an Aquarius, and my ex partner is a Leo. And I'm pretty sure I was like, I moved away from the Leo towards the Aquarius, like south was Leo and north is Aquarius, but I'm gonna have to double check. What's yours?
Yeah, we need
Mine's Scorpio. My North Node Scorpio, and that was my ex's sun sign.
Yeah. Well, often we're drawn, but also repelled. It's a combination of things with people that are because we're like because somebody's sun sign is going to be demonstratable because the sun sign is like, yes, I'm this, and I will show you, and I'm not shy because the sun comes out and shines. And if
Right.
somebody else's sun sign is your North Node, you'd be like, look at them do that. And so for you, so you're having a nodal, the nodes are opposite you right now by transit. So right now we're in a south node of Scorpio, and it's a very dynamic moment. So every 9 years we get, so you're going to have, let me just focus here. So you're meant to not run away from intensity or depth or very, you know, getting into the mystery of yourself and existence, because South Node in Taurus just wants, you know, to enjoy and have the bonbons and just sort of just enjoy life and just, you know, not have any insecurities. But the North Node in Scorpio says you're going to have to live on the edge here. You're going to have to be on the edge in life in some way so that you demonstrate an edginess to you that other people are like, wow, that person's edgy.
So edgy.
So edgy.
You're so edgy.
I'm like Tony Hawk Pro Skater edgy.
Is that edgy? Are you joking?
I don't know.
Not very.
Not very.
No. Trying to be edgy.
Yeah.
Yes, my North Node is Aquarius.
Oh, it's Aquarius. Your North Node?
Yes.
So my sun sign is your North Node, and your sun sign is my North Node. So we each demonstrate the strengths of what the other is trying to learn. So if in Aquarius, you are learning how to dance within the group and raise magic in community, how to create community, how to be a star in a community, how to apply your creativity, where there's an enormous creativity with South Node and Leo. I mean, that is just so artistic, so full of creative joy. And you're meant to take something with that and make it palatable to the masses, or work with the masses, be in front of masses, not just, dancing in your home, but have it broadcast so people can see it. Does that make sense?
I mean, we were literally I was broadcasting me dancing in my living room to the not masses, to the could have been masses if more people came to our dance groups, but that'll happen. We just started them last week, so yeah.
Yeah. And Aquarius is about the future, and it's about futures that the masses can't see yet often, because Aquarius is always ahead. And so it's like about downloading those ideas that will be beneficial to all of humanity in the biggest sense. And so it's sometimes, I think Aquarius is not very well understood by others. It's a kind of a different sign. And so there's a fear maybe of being like, into these esoteric things, and who's going to get it, and who's, but you can always trust, because there's such a trine with your sun, Gemini, you can trust that what you feel driven to do for your destiny is going to be well expressed through the sun sign. Does that make sense?
Jeez.
As much as it can right now, just like natural numbers, you're digesting.
Yeah.
I need to digest this, right? And that's like the cool part about unpacking these things with someone who really knows what they're talking about, because we can deep dive something online.
Mm-hmm.
We can get anything for free online, basically, that we try hard enough to. But I feel so seen by you as you're describing that, and that being seen, I think, can be such an important component, at least for me as a 9, but for many people, of allowing it to integrate, like, oh, it's real, like it's being acknowledged externally too. Like, I knew this reality within me, but it's now being mirrored or shown to me out here too. And so it's like a good validation, but takes time to integrate, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does. And I wanted to also say about the destiny point, because our destiny is the reason we're born, it's not easy to go there. Like, we'll just rest in the South Node for a while. And the time that it matures is when we're 42. By 42, we begin to be like, oh, I get it. I can be that energy. But up until so be gentle with yourself. If you sometimes just go back into the South Node, you're like, I'm not doing that. And then you're like, you're like, yes, here I am. And you begin to, you're like, let me drip out a little bit of this good stuff into the world. And then life gets very exciting the minute you engage that North Node, because it's electric. It's like, it's very exciting energy. It's like the opposite of relaxed, but that's okay. Because you're building new soul material. You're building a castle. You're building something amazing with this life.
Right.
That's awesome. The thing that I looked at the North Node on did not tell me what the opposite, and I'm not good at knowing the opposite signs of each other. So what do I relax into, or
yes,
resist against?
Well, if you have, it would be South Node in Taurus. South Node in Taurus. Sometimes sometimes the South Node in Taurus there's a love of luxury, comfort, financial stability. Sometimes you can be born into some of that, and
Yeah.
kind of want to just relax a little, um, you don't really want to be on the edge. Taurus doesn't want to overthink a damn thing. Taurus wants to relax and have my bonbons on the couch. Like, give me my yum yums. Come on now. I want a back rub. You know, it's all about, you know, the sensuality and the enjoyment of life. And that is something you also bring as a gift. And yet, you know, Scorpio is the kind of thing like, I'll chew off my left leg. And if it means I get to, you know, Scorpio is very edgy. It's very like, I'll die before I'll let you take something. A Taurus is like, I will not die for you. Thank you, because I like my yum yums. You know, so Taurus
Oh,
is not
boy.
interested in a lack of comfort. But Scorpio can be like, I will sit in the, you know, I will sit in the dungeon for life and starve myself for this. You know, it's a very, you know, I will win this power struggle. It's just it's a lot of intensity that you come in. And so you get to have some drama, because Scorpio rules some drama. And it's like the extremes. Like, I feel all these extreme things. I do not like this. Oh, but it's so interesting. Oh, I like all this intensity. It's so intense. I'm going to make this intense. I'm going to
make this intense.
Yeah.
If it's not intense, I'm going to make
That's where you're edgy is. Yes. Is that your love of spicy food that you will die for? Is that your Scorpio North Node showing through?
I guess so.
It takes a while, though. It's not something that we feel, you know, like Gemini North Node for me is talking, writing, speaking. I was very shy because I have a Pisces moon. I was very shy growing up, and I felt very othered as a kid, and I wasn't very well socialized by my family for whatever reason. And so it took me a long time to develop the skills. Like, so for me, like a Gemini North Node really needs education so they can learn how to use words and talk to people. A Scorpio North Node needs to be risky, like needs to risk their comfort and stability to go really into the mysteries and find their deepest truth. Scorpio wants the truth, and it wants to get to the very bottom of every mystery it can find. It wants to know it inside and out. It doesn't want just the surface. And Aquarius, Aquarius has to be very experimental as a North Node. Like, you have to be willing to experiment and be out there on the fringe.
Yeah, I'm always experimenting in all the ways. That tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
We were laughing when you were saying about probably the two most probably like confusing and like detrimental romantic relationships in my life was a Scorpio and a Taurus.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you were looking at the two. You were balancing the two.
Yeah.
And you're like, what not to do with this energy?
Right, exactly. Because they were all like they were
not aligned with the aligned aspects of the signs.
Exactly. Yeah. They weren't taking it and seeing where they could go with it. They were just it's kind of like I'm sure people have done this, like you've witnessed this happen, but people, instead of like taking the astrological information and using it as like a growing point, they'll use it as an excuse. Like, oh, I'm just a bitch because I'm a Scorpio. Like,
yeah. Well, and especially Scorpio has like, in the mythology of it, it has, you know, it's represented by 3 different creatures. The highest creature is a mythical creature, the phoenix. So Scorpio's like really has a very wide range of expression. All of the signs have it. They all, it's like an accordion, you know, it's vibrational. So, but the top of Scorpio is shamanism. It's a shamanistic, it's you know, high priestess energy. It's delving the mysteries of life and death. You know, it's a very deep sign, but it can also be addicted, and it can be vindictive, and it can be poisonous in other regards, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It
Wow.
has the range of all of it.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, that's you put all of this just so fluidly and beautifully, and like like just the way that you're showing up, like it just shows how beneficial it is to you know, do these consults more than just you know, go online.
Yeah,
Like
go Google, and then you get this like 60-page report that you're reading, and you're like, I have no idea what this actually means to me or why it's valid.
or like, you know, there's a ton of different astrology apps. So like CoStar is like
mhm.
the astrology app of the decade or whatever, and like they'll give you a little tidbit here and there or whatever based off of some, maybe someone who has just as much astrological knowledge, but it's like it's not going to be in tune with, like they're not doing that based off of the whole chart. They're just doing it based off of what they know generally as it. So it's still not going to land as much as like what you just did when we even just gave you the top three and then our north node and south node. Like you were able to pull out so much. Like that was incredible.
Yeah, and there's a lot more than that. I mean, that is just a little tidbit, but people are not tidbits, and that's one of the issues with apps and things. I mean, I think those are good for to sprinkle awareness of, oh, you know, I wonder if this is me. But for people who understand that you come in kind of like with a mission from your soul and your greater being, because otherwise, you know, it's like entering a virtual reality video game. Like okay, I've got my thing, I'm here, and this is my play and my story. You know, we want to have as much richness to that experience, and ultimately we're multidimensional beings that are not a chart, but we come in with a chart, more than one actually, and then we start to move it into this incredible like three-dimensional sculpture as we move through life, and it becomes more and more beautiful the more we activate the different parts of it. And you know, some people, they almost never, like, it just, the chart stays kind of flat, like, and other people, they pop up their charts and they really live bigger.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm at. That's why I love to deep dive all this kind of stuff. So, your North Node in Gemini, bringing things forward,
Mm-hmm.
how does that tie in to soul alchemy and you now being an international best-selling author?
Along with you,
Yes.
along with you, my friend. Well, you know, can you repeat the question? It's very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, just as I go blurry again, I'm, this mission that you have that you came in with, how does that tie into the fact that you chose to finally leap into this publishing venture?
Well, you know, I've wanted to publish for a long time, and I've got, you know, some books in me, let me put it that way. And so this was just like a beginning opportunity, you know, just love Jess, and love this idea that we are here to create life. It doesn't just happen to us and then we die, right?
Mhm.
Oh, you know, here's your ticket to life, and like these things happen and you have no choice. No, we're here to alchemize. And so I think that this project helped me look at where I had alchemized from my like script, my ticket I was handed. And you know, that's I think that's the message for all of us. What about you? I'm going to turn that question around to you.
With my North Node in Aquarius and
Yeah.
this book project.
Yeah, let's tie it into that.
So, yeah, because I've never thought about my mission being Aquarian, but it actually makes sense. So I'm a quantum creatrix, and the mission of that blueprint, that is a cosmic blueprint based on some spiritual downloads that my friend Saoirse had. And so she came up with this blueprint system that has 12 different types in it. And the creatrix type, we literally are fast forwarding into the future. We jump ahead on the timeline to see where we're going that's in the highest good of all. And then we bring back pieces of that to share, to keep steering the ship in the direction we're trying to go. That's basically the creatrix mission. So that sounds very, based off of what you were describing, very Aquarian North Node.
It's extremely Aquarian, even the language you're using, but also Aquarius rules the future. And it rules because Aquarius is ruled by the modern ruler is Uranus. It has co-rulership, but Uranus is the lightning bolt that electrifies you with new information suddenly. So that is all perfectly North Node, talking. It's very, it's very intergalactic because Aquarius, the image of Aquarius is a god or goddess or a god being that's pouring water down onto humanity. So it's pouring light and information down to activate. It's activating because lightning is an activator, and lightning is very closely associated with Aquarius.
Okay, well that makes sense. So my chapter is an activation.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it's the I see you activation. Like you are being witnessed by this higher force when you read my words, because it was channeled. And the butterfly wisdom, I think, definitely ties into the North Node too, because it's this recognition of cycles and circles and patterns that when we can master as a human race, when we can understand these cycles playing out, we can leap ahead. It does move us towards the future because we're able to close loops that don't serve and keep the patterns going that keep us expanding and growing and, becoming more and growing. I mean, again, like expansion is entirely possible for all of us if we all just were given the education to use the resources that we have on this beautiful planet appropriately. We could all have enough. And
so like through Sagittarius rising. And I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's a wonderful demonstration of what we just talked about you. I love it. I mean, you can't escape who you are.
Yeah. Today I was channeling for a butterfly portal to go along with my chapter, and there was this remembering of the egg, the blueprint that we came in with, right? We chose this blueprint. We chose to come in at the time that we did and have our astrology chart. And then in Body of Nine, some of us, we have different beliefs why we have these natural numbers, but I like the concept that we then chose the body vessel most equipped to meet our mission here in the 3D. When you unpack all of this, it really just empowers you to live your life in your authenticity. Like, it's like, wait, but aren't you confining me by putting labels on it or by, making me a part of a chart or a number or whatever? But no, because it's the structure in which you can absolutely flow and create whatever you dream. And having that empowering information helps you get there quicker.
Well, one reason this is important too is that when we come into a body, we spend, a lot of time being indoctrinated fully by our socialization process, told who we get to be, how we get to be. And if we are not that, we are punished by the tribal energy, by invisibility. Oh, I don't see you. I don't get you. I don't get it. And what happens to us is we disappear in that, and our soul purpose can't come alive. And so we need these activators. We need people to be seen for who they are or want to be. Like, hey, this is me. I came here to give a gift. And so we need to take off all that conditioning, because otherwise, and so part of these systems is to help people feel more like who they are. Oh, I see you. Help them feel seen.
Yep. And then we see ourselves. So
yeah.
So Tamara, if people want to work with you, you do all kinds of cool stuff with astrology. You also are an intuitive business consultant.
Yeah.
So what kinds of people do you tend to work with? And obviously they can get in touch with you on the links on this episode. So
Sure. Yeah. You can always a gateway is tamarachilds.com, and I work a lot with highly sensitive, highly creative, or empathic people. Also, the Empath CEO. So it can be entrepreneurial work that you do or creative work, but I just help people kind of know where they end and others begin, and just define the path for themselves, and work a lot with energy fluidity that can be a problem. Sometimes we get too impacted and then we forget who we are. And I just want to help them, you know, I guide them to remember who they are and feel in their power.
Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love you, and I'm so honored that you know, have come into our life, and that you shared this wisdom with us and our listeners today. I mean, again, like, I learned so much about astrology in this brief chat today, and I've been dabbling in astrology and whatnot for probably like 2 to 3 years more seriously. As a kid, I was always like, my horoscope doesn't match. That's stupid. I hate it. And I didn't like being a Gemini. That was the only thing I knew about me. Was Gemini, and people were like, you're two-faced. I'm like, well. So this was very empowering. And I love that you take it in that way and you help empower people to be who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, thank you. This is such a pleasure and so fun to talk with both of you.
All right. Well, we will catch you in our next episode. Thank you so much, Tamara, and we will talk to you all again soon. Bye.